Fear is a thief, not a teacher, not a friend, and certainly not a guide. It disguises itself as caution, as reason, even as wisdom. But its true purpose is to steal your potential before you ever reach for it. Fear does not arrive in the form of a roaring beast. It arrives quietly, in whispers of doubt, hesitation, and self-questioning. It tells you to wait a little longer, to gather more certainty, to make sure the path is clear. But the path is never clear. Life does not hand you guarantees. It hands you opportunities, and those opportunities vanish when fear convinces you to hesitate. Most people live as prisoners of their own imagination. They build invisible walls around themselves, brick by brick, thought by thought, until they no longer need fear to stop them. They stop themselves. You see, fear is not found in the world. It is manufactured in the mind. The danger may be real, but the fear is chosen. It is the emotion that tells you to turn back when you are standing at the edge of growth. Yet here's the paradox. The very thing you fear most often holds the key to your progress. The human mind has a remarkable ability to exaggerate what it does not understand. When you stand before the unknown, your mind begins to paint shadows larger than life. It magnifies what could go wrong while silencing the whisper of what could go right. And because the mind seeks safety, it rationalizes retreat as intelligence. But retreat, when driven by fear, is not wisdom, it is surrender. It is the quiet acceptance that the limits fear has drawn for you are somehow real. Think of the moments in your life when you felt trapped, when opportunities seemed out of reach, when you hesitated and later called it timing or logic. Was it really logic, or was it fear wearing logic's disguise? Fear often pretends to protect us, but what it really protects is our comfort. And comfort, though seductive, is the slow death of purpose. The man or woman who waits to act until the fear is gone never acts at all. The truth is, fear cannot be destroyed. It must be dominated. You overcome fear not by denying it, but by confronting it. The mind that learns to act in the presence of fear becomes unshakable, because once you realize that fear cannot stop you, it loses all power over you. The world opens up to those who move through their doubts, not around them. You must begin to see fear for what it is, an illusion of loss. It tells you that stepping forward will cost you something, but in reality, standing still costs far more. Every opportunity you let slip away, every decision you postpone, every risk you refuse, all of it compounds into regret. And regret is the final proof that fear was never protecting you, it was robbing you. So when fear whispers, don't argue with it. Move. Move while it still has you in its grip. Move before it talks you out of your destiny. Because the moment you act, the spell breaks, and you'll discover that the thief had no power at all, only the power you gave it. Action is the antidote to fear. Not thought, not analysis, not reassurance. Action. Fear thrives in stillness. It grows stronger in the silence between your thoughts. The more time you spend thinking about what might happen, the more your imagination becomes your enemy. The mind begins to build scenarios, outcomes, failures, all more frightening than reality itself. And so, you stay where you are, thinking, planning, preparing, but never moving. Yet nothing weakens fear faster than a single act of movement in the direction of what you fear most. The truth is, no one ever thought their way out of fear. They moved through it. They acted. The difference between the person who succeeds and the one who remains trapped isn't intelligence, talent, or luck. It's action. One moves while afraid, the other waits to feel ready. But readiness is a marriage. You can't prepare your way into courage, you must act your way into it. Every great transformation in life begins the same way, with one small, deliberate step forward, even while fear screams for you to stop. What most people don't realize is that fear cannot exist in the same space as action. The moment you move, fear loses its grip. When you speak the truth you were afraid to say, when you take the first step toward a goal you've delayed, when you make the call you've been avoiding, something changes. You shift from the mental to the physical, from hesitation to momentum. And momentum is the natural enemy of fear. It's hard to be consumed by anxiety when your energy is directed toward creation, progress, and motion. It's a universal law of the mind. Emotion follows motion. You cannot sit and wait for confidence to appear before acting, because confidence is not the cause of action. It is the result. The more you do, the more capable you feel. The more capable you feel, the less fear can influence you. Inaction, on the other hand, feeds self-doubt. The longer you wait, the louder fear becomes because your inaction confirms its lies. You teach yourself to believe that hesitation equals safety, when in truth, Hesitation only strengthens the walls that keep you small. Consider this: every great achievement you admire was built by someone who acted long before they were certain. They made decisions, took risks, and adjusted as they went. They didn't possess supernatural courage, they possessed faith in motion. They understood that clarity is born from doing, not from endless reflection. The path unfolds only when your feet begin to move. Waiting for everything to feel secure before acting is like waiting for the ocean to calm before learning to swim. The calm never comes first, you create it through movement. So, the next time fear rises, don't argue with it, don't analyze it, and don't retreat. Move. Even if the step is small, take it. Because the act of moving in the face of fear reclaims your power. It sends a message to your subconscious that you are in control, not your emotions. In the end, fear fades not because it disappears, but because you outgrow it. And the only way to outgrow fear is to act beyond it. Remember this: hesitation keeps you where you are, but action transforms where you are into where you were meant to be. Courage is a choice, not a feeling. It's a deliberate act of will that begins the moment you decide that your purpose is greater than your fear. People often misunderstand courage. They imagine it as a sudden surge of strength, a wave of confidence that comes just before taking a bold step. But that's not how it works. Courage rarely feels like courage when you're in the middle of it. It often feels like trembling hands, a racing heart, and 1,000 thoughts urging you to stop. Yet, the truly courageous do not wait for those feelings to disappear. They act right through them. The ordinary mind believes that bravery must come first, that confidence must precede action. But in truth, confidence is the child of courage, not its parent. You act first, and the feeling follows. Every time you move while afraid, you teach your subconscious that you are not a slave to emotion, that you can think, decide, and act beyond it. This is the essence of power, the ability to control yourself when the rest of the world is controlled by fear. You see, courage is not about eliminating fear. It's about mastering your response to it. Fear is instinctual, wired into us to preserve life, but courage is conscious, born from thought and purpose. The moment you choose courage, you elevate yourself above instinct. You become the driver of your own destiny rather than a passenger of emotion. That's why those who live by courage tend to achieve what others call impossible. They don't possess more strength, they simply possess more decision. Every great achievement in human history was made possible by someone who chose to act when every emotion screamed not to. The inventors, the explorers, the builders, the visionaries, they were all confronted by uncertainty, criticism, and risk. But they decided that fear would not have the final say. They moved, and by moving, they created momentum. And momentum, once created, transforms fear into faith, because action proves to the mind that you are capable, while inaction convinces you that you are not. It's a fascinating paradox. Fear loses its power the moment you act against it. The battle is never as fierce as it seems before you begin. The mind exaggerates danger to keep you still, but reality is often far gentler than imagination. What appears terrifying in thought becomes manageable in action. And every time you choose to face fear, you grow stronger, not just in resolve but in identity. You begin to see yourself differently. Not as someone who waits for courage, but as someone who creates it. Understand this deeply: courage is not the absence of fear, it is the mastery of self in the presence of fear. It is the quiet, internal command that says, "Fuff, I move forward anyway, us," and that command must come from within, from a mind disciplined enough to act, and a heart steady enough to follow through. So when fear comes, and it will, don't wait to feel brave, don't wait for the trembling to stop or for clarity to arrive. Decide, step forward, act while afraid. Because courage is not something that finds you, it's something you summon. And the moment you do, fear begins to fade and strength begins to take its place. Fear, if you truly examine it, is not your enemy, it's your map. It points directly to the areas of your life where growth is waiting to happen. Every time fear rises within you, it's an invitation, not a warning. It's a signal that you're standing at the edge of expansion, where the next version of yourself is ready to be born. But most people misread this signal. They treat fear as a stop sign when in truth it's a doorway. And that misunderstanding is what keeps so many lives small. Think about it. The things that make you the most uneasy, the goals that seem too big, the dreams that make your heart race, those are not coincidences. They are indicators of potential. They are evidence that something powerful within you is trying to emerge, but can only do so when you face what frightens you. The stronger the fear, the greater the growth behind it. Nature itself operates this way. Pressure creates diamonds, resistance builds muscle, and challenge develops character. Fear functions the same way. It is the pressure that molds you into the person capable of holding success. The tragedy is that most people never allow this process to happen. They feel fear and retreat. They justify it with logic, calling it being realistic or playing it safe, when in truth they are surrendering to the limits of their comfort. But comfort is not peace. It is quiet decay. It's a slow erosion of potential, disguised as stability. Fear shows you where your boundaries are, but courage allows you to move beyond them. That's why your biggest dreams will always come wrapped in discomfort. They're meant to test whether you're willing to evolve to claim them. When you begin to see fear as a teacher, everything changes. You stop asking, "How do I get rid of fear?" and start asking, "What is this fear trying to show me?" That simple shift in awareness turns fear from an obstacle into a guide. Because the truth is, fear only exists in the space between where you are and where you're meant to go. Once you cross that space, it vanishes. The only way to dissolve fear is to walk directly through it. Avoidance keeps it alive, action kills it. The human spirit was never designed for avoidance. It was designed for advancement. You were meant to push into new territory, to stretch the limits of what you believe possible. That's how confidence is built, how resilience is born, how power is earned. Each time you do what scares you, you expand your identity. You move from "I can't" to "I did." You accumulate evidence of your strength, and that evidence becomes unshakable faith in yourself. So, the next time you feel fear tightening its grip around your mind, pause and remember this fear is not a signal to stop. It's a sign you're standing before something meaningful. The very thing that frightens you most may be the exact thing that sets you free. Step toward it, because your growth does not live behind safety. It lives just beyond fear's illusion. The mind is a powerful instrument, but left untrained, it becomes your greatest obstacle. It will protect your fears, defend your doubts, and argue for your limitations as though they are facts. You cannot trust an undisciplined mind because it does not seek truth. It seeks comfort. And comfort, though it feels safe, is the very thing that prevents growth. To overcome fear, you must first learn to master the mind that produces it. Most people live their entire lives believing that their thoughts are in control of them, rather than realizing they are in control of their thoughts. They wake up each morning and immediately surrender to whatever emotion appears first. Worry, stress, or anxiety, and call it reality. But the mind is not reality, it is a lens. And if the lens is dirty, distorted by fear, then everything you see will appear dangerous, uncertain, and overwhelming. The first act of power, therefore, is to clean that lens, to take control of what you allow to dwell in your thoughts. You must train your mind as deliberately as a craftsman sharpens his tools. You cannot expect success from a mind that is dull, distracted, and full of fear. Every day, you must remind yourself of what you believe in, of where you are going, and of who you choose to become. You must speak to your own mind with authority, because if you do not, it will speak for you, and what it says will rarely serve your purpose. The mind, when disciplined, becomes your greatest ally. It can turn adversity into fuel, setbacks into lessons, and fear into focus. But this transformation requires consistent effort. Must replace doubt with direction and hesitation with habit. Every time your mind whispers, "You can't," you must answer with action that proves you can, because thought alone will not reshape the mind. Only disciplined behavior can do that. The mind learns from experience, not intention. Understand this truth: fear feeds on imagination. It needs your cooperation to exist. The more vividly you picture what could go wrong, the stronger fear becomes. But the moment you redirect that same imagination toward what could go right, fear begins to fade. The untrained mind is a weapon turned inward. The trained mind is a weapon turned outward toward achievement. Which one you live with depends entirely on the discipline you apply to your thinking. There will be days when the mind resists, when it argues for doubt, when it tempts you to retreat into safety. That's when training matters most. You must command your thoughts as a leader commands his army, with clarity and conviction. You must remind your mind who is in charge, because a mind without direction will always find fear to follow. When you master your thoughts, you master your life. The disciplined mind becomes a shield against anxiety and a compass toward purpose. It no longer reacts, it creates. It no longer fears, it focuses. And in that mastery lies true freedom, the power to think clearly, act decisively, and build the life that fear once told you was impossible. Get self-respect is not something you inherit, it's something you earn, and it's earned through struggle. It's built in those moments when you could have quit, but didn't. When fear told you to turn back, but you kept moving anyway. Every time you push through fear, you are not just achieving an external goal, you are shaping the internal structure of your character. You are teaching yourself that you can be trusted to act with strength when it matters most. That is the foundation of true confidence, the kind that cannot be shaken by circumstance or opinion. People often chase success hoping it will give them self-respect. They believe that if they earn enough, achieve enough, or receive enough recognition, they will finally feel worthy. But self-respect doesn't come from what you gain, it comes from what you endure. It is born in the quiet victories, when no one is watching, when no applause is given, when your effort goes unseen but your spirit refuses to surrender. Those are the moments that define you. Because success without self-respect is hollow, but self-respect will carry you through any failure. Each time you act in defiance of fear, you strengthen your belief in your own ability to overcome. It's not about proving anything to the world. It's about proving something to yourself. You begin to realize that you are capable of more than you thought, that fear was never as powerful as it seemed. This realization changes everything. It builds an inner authority, a sense of quiet power that doesn't need validation. The person who has faced fear and acted in spite of it becomes unshakable, because they know the source of their strength lies within. And the beauty of this process is that it compounds. The more you confront fear, the more your self-respect grows. Each challenge becomes a deposit into your confidence. Each victory, no matter how small, reinforces your identity as someone who persists, someone who endures, someone who conquers. That is how character is formed, not through comfort, but through confrontation. The world respects those who respect themselves. And self-respect is not born from easy living. It is born from trial, from resistance, from the decision to keep going when everything inside you wants to stop. When you face fear and act anyway, you are literally rewriting your mental code. You are teaching your subconscious mind a new truth that you are capable, resilient, and worthy of success. This is the psychological alchemy of growth, turning fear into fuel, turning doubt into determination, turning struggle into self-respect. So understand this. Every time you meet fear and refuse to yield, you are building something far greater than success. You are building strength of character, the kind that endures beyond any circumstance, the kind that cannot be bought, taught, or borrowed. And when you look back one day, it won't be the comfort you'll be proud of. It will be the courage. It will be the moments you chose to rise when you could have fallen, to move when you could have frozen, to fight when you could have fled. Because in the end, self-respect is not earned in victory. It's earned in the act of standing tall, even while afraid.